Yo, what's going on, everybody out there, all my Pokemon Pocket players, and happy weekend to you. This is a video where I'm going to be talking about 3 cards that I believe we are misplaying or not playing enough, and it's going to potentially shake up the way that you see these cards, at least one of them in particular, for the rest of the time that you're playing Pokemon Pocket. I think this is one of those videos that's going to age very well, and a lot of people are going to come back to this. But first, I want to go ahead and introduce you to these 3 cards just in case, you need a reminder. And I know a lot of you are very familiar with these cards. But the first one I'm going to start off with is Sabrina. Sabrina says, switch out your opponent's active Pokemon to the bench. Your opponent chooses the new active Pokemon. And again, you can only use one supporter per turn, so it's very important which one you play. And I'm going to actually show you clips from my stream, which, by the way, if you hit that subscribe button, you'll be notified when I stream. And you can go ahead and kind of see me give live examples of how to use these cards, in my opinion. Now, the clips that I'm going to be showing you are going to highlight the good and the bad. So, this is the first card, Sabrina. The second card, which I actually didn't include in my first video talking about decks for Pokemon Pocket, and I didn't include it because I kind of wanted those decks to be a baseline for people kind of figuring out what deck should I build when I first start the game or try to build. As I started playing more multiplayer, and I started kind of getting, more attuned to how the game was shaping out, it was very evident that red card is 100% a card that you should play in every deck, at least one copy, much like Sabrina. Now, these cards are just very impactful. They can be used to stall. They can be used as an aggressive card. And that's the reason why you should have at least one of Sabrina, one of red card in all of your decks. Red card basically says, hey, your opponent shuffles their hand into their deck and then draws 3 cards. Now, this is not going to be good 100% of the time, but I'm going to tell you the moments that it is good and some of the moments that maybe you can make this card and play around it. Now, that's really important because, getting red carded after you kind of have a really great turn 1 feels really bad. But at the same time, I'm going to show you how to use it on offense as well in the clips that I have coming up. Now, keep in mind, red card does have a connection to the third card in the highlight here. The third card that I'm going to highlight, and I think this is going to send ripples across the Pokemon Pocket TCG because I think this is going to change the way that we play this card. And not a lot of you're going to be able to tell the people that, in my opinion, are really trying to get better at this game from the people that are just kind of playing this as a more casual game, just kind of throwing cards out there. But Professor's Research, a.k.a. Pot of Greed, I call it Pot of Greed every time it's played against me and every time I play it, just because Pot of Greed says draw 2 cards. But it's a supporter, so you can only play 1 per turn. But this is very simple effects. That's draw 2 cards. Now, for the entirety of this game, I would say 99% of players on this game are drawing Professor's Research and just immediately slamming it down. And I think that's incorrect. I think that there's actually a play style, a method to playing this card that makes you get the most mileage out of it. And in these clips, I'm going to go over that. So let's get to the clips. Okay, so the first clip that I'm going to show you is actually a clip from one of my streams recently where I'm playing a Venusaur deck. You can see the deck list at the top. And you can notice my opponent, Pokeballs and Professor Researches. They Pot of Greed first turn along with Pokeball, which is one of the strongest starts in the game. Obviously, the only other strong start in comparison would be double Pokeball and Professor's Research. So they have, 5 cards in hand. I rip red card for my draw for turn. And on my side, you can immediately see this is before I really started to dive into when to play Professor's Research. But you'll notice right now, at this time, I'm going to pause it. But right now at this time, I could Pokeball and play a basic and hold the Professor's Research, right? I have no need to Professor's Research right now because what it's going to do is it's going to fill my hand up even more so that way red card looks like a really good counter for what I am doing, okay? And on top of that, I'm playing a Stage 2 deck, and Stage 2 decks hate getting red carded. Like almost all the time, if you're playing a Stage 2 deck, once you drop that Stage 1, it sucks because if you are holding, your Stage 2 and you get red carded, now you got to find that Stage 2 again. So again, like whenever you're playing red card, if you see your opponent's playing a Stage 2 deck, unless you're going to get good value out of playing the red card, it might be good to hold the red card until you see them drop that stage 1. Okay, so that's something to keep in mind. All right, so this turn is going to continue. I'm going to slam my pedal down, and I'm going to Professor's Research. Now, in my opinion, again, looking back at this, I don't think that that's necessarily the correct play because I already have what I need to get my deck started. I have Pedal, I have Bulbasaur, and that's all I really need. But if you notice, again, when I red card here, this really changes the game because now they're going to have 3 cards in their hand, and potentially whatever synergy they had with those 5 cards is gone. So I used my red card to go from 5 cards to my opponent now having 3 cards. They'll have 4 on their turn. But again, the big highlight that I want to point out here is if they hadn't have used Professor's Research, it would still be in their deck in one of their best draws. And it would put me in a bind because do I use that red card if they only have 3 cards in their hand? If they only have 4 cards in their hand, including the Professor's Research? You know, that's debatable, right? I probably wouldn't. And now they still have Professor's Research in their hand. They still have potentially Curlia in their hand to evolve right away. And now they're sitting in a position where they can hold Professor's Research again. And I still can't really, if I red card, it doesn't matter necessarily because they still have double Professor's Research, double Pot of Greed in their deck. So again, like, in my opinion, I think we're playing Professor's Research incorrectly by using it really quickly. I think you should only use Professor's Research whenever you are going to immediately like move yourself out of getting donked. So in other words, you only have 1 basic, you have no Pokeballs, so you kind of have to play the Professor's Research so you can't get 1 turn killed, right? And the other thing is holding Professor's Research plays around red card. And that's really important because getting red carded, if you draw Professor's Research during the 3 cards that you draw for red card or during your turn for draw, that's really impactful in still being able to come back after getting red carded. So again, I would start holding Professor's Research and asking yourself, do I need these 2 cards that I'm about to draw? Because if you don't need them, if it's not going to let you evolve and progress your game plan, or if it's not going to go ahead and put another basic on your bench so you don't get donked, I think that a lot of the time you should be holding your Professor's Research, and I think that that's going to drastically change how effective red card is against you. So that's the first cards that I wanted to highlight. So it's a combination of Professor's Research and red card. So let's get to the next clip here. So, and by the way, if you want to find out if I won that game, check out the Venusaur highlights that I'll be putting out tomorrow. Hopefully should be out on Saturday, October 5th. Okay, so moving on to this next game. So at the current game state right here, I have a Venusaur going up against an Articuno EX, another Articuno EX on the bench, and then potentially a Starmie EX. Okay, so I'm going up against the odds here. Granted, it's tied 1 prize to 1 prize. But one thing I'm going to highlight here is, notice I have a Bulbasaur in my hand. I know it's hard to see because I got that flexing art, right? But I've got a Bulbasaur in my hand, and I'm not going to play it. And you might be wondering, MBB, why are you not slamming that Bulbasaur down? And it's because of Sabrina. Sabrina can be used as a stall tactic, but it can also be used as a win condition. And what I'm doing right here is I'm recognizing the situation that if my opponent plays Sabrina and brings out my pedal, they're going to go to 2 on the prizes, right? 2 on the points. So now, if I play another basic, all they have to do is Sabrina again, and I lose, right? So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to refuse to play the Bulbasaur. It's basically a dead card. And I'm going to say, hey, if you're going to beat me, you need to knock out my pedal and my Venusaur, which my deck is built around keeping Venusaur EX alive. So I'm going to try to make it very difficult for them. So let's see how this plays out. So here we go. My Venusaur is going to swing for 100. It's going to leave their Articuno at 10, which it stinks, right? Like that stinks because now obviously they're just going to retreat and they're going to send in one of their other Pokemon to start chipping away at my Venusaur. Now, they're going to think for a second, but again, me not putting this Bulbasaur down to give them that alternate win condition is going to be huge. Now, the worst cards that I could see that could be played against me right now would most likely be, right, Sabrina. Starmie EX, and red card, right? I probably don't want to see combination of those cards. Well, there's the red card, so it gets rid of my hill. So now I'm like, okay, I need to draw hill. Bulbasaur, or excuse me, Ivysaur, dead. Lily, pretty much dead, right? Like, I'm probably not going to play the Lily and get a lot of value out of it. But the Sabrina, that's a banger. That's an absolute banger because, again, it can be used to stall or as a win condition. So they Sabrina, knock out my basic, and now it's 100% sure I'm never playing another basic for the rest of this game, okay? Now, the thing that I've got to wonder about is if they play another Sabrina, I don't know. I don't know if the deck has space for it, but it doesn't matter because I'm not going to play another basic. So now my win condition is let's keep slapping away their Pokemon that they put into the active, and then Sabrina out my win condition. Basically, Sabrina out the last prize. Now, I'm going to pause right here. Here's one of the things that they should not do, in my opinion. In my opinion, they should not evolve a Starmie EX right here, right? Because if they evolve a Starmie EX, now they have nothing but EXs on their field. And now Sabrina basically turns into my ultimate win condition because if it knocks out any of their Pokemon, I win, right? And if they were to go ahead and retreat right here and put in Starmie, they should probably, it's a very tough position for them to win. So my opponent's going to think for a second, and then I'm going to take a nice swig of my sweet, sweet, sweet iced coffee. But again, at this point in the game, they're going to have to get through all my Ericas, they're going to have to get through the rest of my potions, and they're going to have to get through my Pokemon, my Venusaur, dealing 100 damage as well as healing for 30. So they're going to evolve, okay? And again, that Articuno only has 10 HP because I chipped at it earlier. But what they're going to do here is they're going to switch out that Articuno because if they don't, it's a knockout. And they're just going to say, hey, if you have Sabrina, you win the game because I don't have another basic Pokemon that I can put down for only one prize, right? Because again, I'm going to need to knock out an EX. Here, Sabrina is going to swoop in. It's going to save the day. And it's basically going to say, here, I automatically win because you're going to put in a Pokemon that I'm going to be able to one-shot. But again, the key takeaway, in my opinion, was me not putting down another bench Pokemon that could open up the door for them to use their own Sabrina. So Sabrina can be used to stall, and it can be used to basically win you the game. And that's why I think everybody should be playing 2 Professor's Research, one Sabrina, and at least one red card in all of their decks. If you want to see more high-level kind of more high-level play and kind of commentary, definitely check out my streams and definitely hit that subscribe button. Until next time, peace.